All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Sunday Swings Breakdown, and let's get right into it. So, the pairs that Alex is looking to trade this week are these ones right here: USD CHF for buys, Euro GBP for sells, NZD USD, and AUD USD, as well as Euro USD for sells, all USD pairs right there, GBP NZD for sells, and XAU USD for sells as well. So gold for sells. Let's start off at the top with USD CHF. So USD CHF, I was also looking for buys. The weekly time frame is currently bullish. The daily time frame is currently bearish, and the 4-hour time frame is currently bullish as well, from right here all the way up to here. So personally, what I would like to see is a daily candlestick closure bullish and then a pullback into the area of interest. Now this pullback could look something like this, where it happens over multiple days, maybe over a week of time. I'm not sure if it'll happen this week or next week. We could see a 4-hour pullback that is a little bit swifter and quicker, something like this. So you have to kind of prepare for either choice. Ideally, this candlestick here will close bullish, which I think it will. Therefore, we'll have 3 time frames in sync. Waiting for the daily pullback or the 4-hour pullback is the best option. Now, the slower the pullback, the better it is actually for this move, because it will allow the EMA to catch up to price. So if it pulls back really, really slowly, I know that doesn't look amazing, then it has a shift and a push. That would be way better than if it just had a single candlestick down and then a continuation to the upside. Simply because with a slow pullback, you end up having the EMA catching up to the price and then pushing the price upwards. I guess we just got some kind of a candlestick move to the downside on the 1-hour time frame. But yeah, this could be the pullback right now. We might be seeing that 4-hour pullback while I'm explaining how I want to have a daily pullback to happen. But regardless of everything, at this area we have a round psychological level. We have an area of interest. On the weekly time frame, there really isn't much in terms of, let's move this over here. There really isn't much in terms of the weekly time frame, so we do have kind of a double bottom. Other than that, there's really not much. This is previous structure that could be retested but hasn't been yet. There's no EMA, there's no candlestick rejection, so weekly time frame stays pretty empty. Daily time frame ends up being also having like a double bottom structure, even though it's pretty far away from everything. We are above the EMA, which is great to see. We're not retesting the 50 EMA. We don't have the candlestick rejection. However, if we do have a nice slow pullback, there could be a candlestick rejection that happens. Next is the 4-hour time frame, which should be pulling back rather soon. If the 4-hour candlesticks pull back into this area of interest, we wouldn't have much structure. There wouldn't be a pattern. We wouldn't be rejecting previous structure unless we pulled back like further down. These could count as previous structures, so could this and this. So I potentially could use that as previous structure. There's no EMA anywhere near, but there could be a candlestick rejection, assuming that we pull back with multiple candlesticks. There could be a nice wick to the downside, rejection candle, and then continuation to the upside. Obviously, on top of that, you have your entry confluences, so on and so forth. This ends up being around 85 to 95% trade setup, depending on how you grade your trades. I prefer to use lower percentages, which allows me to basically stack on more confluences rather than using 10% for everything, and then you end up taking poor trades. So if you really wanted to, you could go ahead and edit some of your confluences. So for my example here, I could go in here and change the confluence set that I have for here, and I can change anything to 10%, 5%, whatever I might want it to be. So that's really cool. Anyways, all that being said, I'm using 5%. Next up is, for a quick recap, I guess, we have the pullback here to buy. That's what I would be looking for. Daily or 4-hour pullback doesn't really matter. Next is Euro GBP. I think for sells, I have it for buys personally, but that's because I like trading with the major trends. The weekly time frame is bullish. The daily time frame is having a pretty strong pullback. We had a doji candle, selling candle. This could be the pullback candle, and then we could see a continuation to the downside. But yeah, daily time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame has now shifted bearish. So for sells, you currently have one time frame in sync. However, if you waited for buys, then you would have 2 time frames in sync, and that's actually what I recommend everyone does. Is leave this trade alone unless you're interested in taking a much higher risk trade. So for this example, let's go ahead and do what Alex wants us to do and look for sells. Okay, so we have one time frame in sync to sell. You don't have any psychological level. You don't have an area of interest. You don't have any weekly time frame. Like, there's nothing. You're literally just trading in the opposite direction of everything. 4-hour time frame is the only confluence you're going to get here. You have a pattern. You could retest your previous structure. You're not retesting the EMA. You might get a candlestick rejection. Oops, that's the wrong section. So you have these 3 confluences, plus let's say you have all of these if you're lucky. Then you still have like 55% trade setup. However, let's do the opposite and say let's look for buys, okay? So for buys, weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bullish. By the time we get down to here, the 4-hour time frame will create structure, maybe a double bottom, head and shoulders, whatever that might be. Your daily time frame, your 4-hour time frame, will go bullish as well. At this area, you have a round psychological level, 0.875. So you have round psychological level. You have a daily area of interest. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 structure points and a bunch of wicks. Weekly time frame is bullish, right? You have a double bottom. You have your neckline. So you have that structure right there, pattern formation. You're retesting your previous structure. You're not retesting your EMA, but you could get a candlestick rejection if you're lucky. We're not going to count that just yet. Daily time frame is the one that'll most likely have a candlestick rejection. So let's say by the time we come down to here, we have, count this as a triple bottom, maybe if price pushes all the way down to here. Could happen, might not happen. So let's not say that, but we would be retesting these previous structures. We would be retesting the EMA if price pushes down into the EMA, which will probably happen. Price loves to retest this EMA, so let's pretend like that's exactly what's going to happen. EMA pushes up like this. We retest the EMA. We have a candlestick rejection, and on the 4-hour time frame, we also have some kind of a pattern. We have a pattern. We're retesting the previous structure. We're going to be retesting the EMA. So at this point, the 4-hour EMA will do this. So we'll sell underneath, then we'll have to break above, retest buy. So we'll be retesting the 50 EMA, we'll have candlestick rejections, we'll have our entry confluences. This instantly becomes a trade that is twice as good for trading. Much less stress, much less questions asked. Obviously, you can take sells. It's probably going to make it down to here, but that's not guaranteed. We could just reject this 4-hour EMA and continue pressing upwards. So that is the way that I feel about Euro GBP. Overall, not a bad trade if you're selling, but it is twice as good if you're buying. So because of that, I'll say not interested until re-entering or retesting area of interest. And to be specific, daily area of interest. So not interested. For the other one here, we're waiting for a pullback to buy, 4-hour or daily pullback to buy. NZD USD, On to the next. NZD/USD is a trade that I am currently in and have been in since last week. I ended up sending out like a trade signal or whatever along those lines. And we caught this move on, on Thursday, held it through Friday, Sunday, and we are waiting for basically a candlestick closure underneath this area and a continuation to the downside. So Alex is looking for sells. Exactly what he was looking for is a pullback into the area of interest to sell. I can see how that was an option, but it's no longer an option right now, unfortunately. As of right now, your best bet would be to wait for a pullback into the previous structure in order to sell if you're lucky. And as well, you have to understand that price could react from a daily area of interest, which is right here. You have 1, 2, 3 structure points and a ton of wicks. I can erase some of these alarms. I just wanted to be informed as to what price was doing when it was moving while I was asleep. Anyways, price is still pushing downwards. I expect it to continue to push downwards. As of right now, there is no trade unless price pulls back into these structures right here. So here, just waiting for a 4-hour pullback into lower time frame area of interest to sell. Okay, so that's what I would be looking for. Not a great trade. You'd ideally want to be trading from the trading from the daily area of interest right here. But since that's not happening, we'll have to move on. AUD/USD, another trade that I had entered and I'm currently in. So here on the weekly time frame, price is currently bearish. We are seeming to be creating a head and shoulders pattern on the weekly time frame. Excuse me. On the daily time frame, price is also currently bearish. We pulled back, retested the EMA, sold. If you notice here, this previous candle kind of closed below the EMA. Then we opened with a wick upwards, retesting that EMA, and now we are selling. 4-hour time frame is going to close with the with a shift of structure to the downside. So the 4-hour time frame was bullish, and we sold, pulled back, sold, pulled back, sold, shifted bullish, and shifted bearish again. And now that we are once again bearish, once we will be bearish again, we could expect price to retest this neckline right here and then continue to sell. I sent a little bit of an early entry for this one, and we'll see what happens there. It looks like price is retesting the area of interest, and I hope that it will just continue to sell. It kind of wicked into these wicks right here, and I do expect a continuation, and that's why I removed my stop or my take profit on NZD/USD, because I do believe since AUD/USD has so much selling potential that we would see a continuation across the USD pairs. So if we're trading USD pairs that are USD CAD, then we'll be seeing buys. But if it's NZD/USD, so if USD is the second pair in the pairs, then we'll be seeing sells. And if it's the first pair, for example, USD CHF, USD CAD, we will be seeing buys. Okay, so lots of movement in USD this week. And overall, this weekly or daily time frame, I expect a continuation, a lower low. Here, I expect a lower low at the very minimum to this weekly EMA and weekly structure right there. So for this one, it would be a 1 to 3. And for this one, it would be upwards of a 1 to 5. So very, very nice trades overall. This one has the most potential for continuation simply because of this position that it is in. The market structure is not as clean as NZD/USD, but I think that they're all going to be moving very similarly overall. We finally broke underneath the 4-hour EMA, and yeah, all we'd be waiting for is we're getting the break. It would be a retest of the 4-hour structure and the daily area of interest to sell. Whenever that ends up happening, that would be a great setup overall. Not going to go ahead and, I think I already graded this one. I think I already graded it. This would be graded for if we got the break and retest. Since we don't have the break and retest, we're about 20% lower at the moment. So the trade setup for the trade that I took was a 85% trade, I think. About an 85% trade. All right, next is Euro USD. Euro USD on the weekly time frame is currently bullish. So we're bullish on the weekly time frame. The daily time frame is bearish. We had a very nice break to the downside off the EMA. All that I'm waiting for is a retest of this previous structure. Could be any of these previous structures realistically. This whole area right here is pretty good for that. Our area of interest can be a little bit smaller, like so, where we're including all these structures along with the wicks, and all I'd be waiting for is a pullback on the daily time frame. So daily pullback to sell. I'm not going to go ahead and grade all of that, but it will move similarly to the other pairs. Obviously, you only have one time frame in sync to sell. If price, well, actually, you have two time frames. You have the 4-hour time frame as well. Sorry, I'm not sure why that was there. But yeah, at the pullback, you could potentially see a retest to sell. That would be nice. The daily pullback could take multiple days. As you can see here, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and now we're selling for 4 days in a row. Another 5-day pullback. Here it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 days of pulling back, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 days of selling. So yeah, it's usually, the pullback is usually a little bit longer than the actual trade. But I would be interested in that one as well. Now, second to last is GBP NZD. GBP NZD on the weekly time frame is bullish. On the daily time frame is bearish. Now, the reason I would be interested in taking this trade to the downside is because we broke underneath the daily EMA. Now, there have been times where we broke under the daily EMA only to continue to buy. And since we're trading against the weekly time frame, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened now. But if we're trading with overall market structure, we currently only have one time frame in sync to sell. However, if we wait for a break and retest underneath this structure right here, then your trade setup becomes 10% better, and you'll have two time frames in sync to sell. So just wait for a break, a quick retest, and then sell. This could be a great trade overall. I'm not sure how I graded this, if this was just for an example or whatever else. I have this on my own personal list over here, as well as a trade that I am interested in trading. These are ones that I'm already trading, and these are ones that I am currently interested in. But yeah, let's go back to the Sunday swings list. Not much more to say here, just waiting for a 4-hour break and retest. 4-hour break and retest after reaction from daily area of interest and EMA. Okay, so that's what we're waiting for there. And last but not least is gold. Gold, Alex was looking for sells. I'm looking for buys, actually. Not interested in sells at all. Here's why. Overall, you can see how strongly we're trading upwards. Daily time frame is trading above the EMA, which is important. I can see this being the reaction candle, this being a pullback candle, and this being a continuation candle to the upside. And what I noticed is we had a 4-hour shift of structure above this right here. We had a pullback, and now we're starting to see market structure moving bullish. And most importantly, on the 2-hour time frame, we're shifting above the 2-hour EMA. You can see how well price trades above the 2-hour EMA. So we have broken above, retested, and we'll have the continuation there. Now, the way that I had been trading gold is when I see the shift of structure, I basically trade price action mainly. So when price broke above this structure right here, made gold go bullish. Yes, we went bearish again, but overall the idea remains the same. We're starting to create bullish market structure. So we had the push up. This is the structure we're focusing on. We reacted from the EMA and we sold. Then we came back, broke above the same structure, and we're having the correction right now. We had the correction, so anything above this area right now, anything, if we get a break and retest above this area, you're good for buys. I mean, price should just continue to move upwards, making higher highs and trading above the 2-hour EMA. Now, I don't really trade gold regularly, but this is the analysis that I have for it at the moment. The 4-hour time frame is about to shift bullish on gold as well. So if we close in the next 2 hours, gold will go bullish on the 4-hour. Then we'll have 2 time frames in sync to buy, the weekly time frame and the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so that basically wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. So for this one, we have break and retest above area of interest and EMA. Now it doesn't have to be the 4-hour break and retest. It can literally be a 15-minute break and retest. Really, really simple, really easy. Could happen in the next 2, 3, 4 hours. So let's go ahead and order these from best to worst based on what our analysis was. So here we're waiting for a pullback to buy. Here we're waiting for a daily pullback to buy. Same thing here. So 2 pullback to buys. NZD USD pullback to sell. AUD USD pullback to sell, or break and retest to sell. Here we have a pullback to sell. GBP NZD break and retest to sell, and gold break and retest to buy. So these 3 are break and retest, and these are all pullbacks to move in their particular directions. I apologize that this was a little bit of a longer breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed it, learned something, and you guys are amazing. I'll see you guys in the next one.